Good morning, good afternoon, good evening. Glad to see many people today. This session is a bit particular compared to all the other sessions that we did for the past 2 weeks, and I've seen some names there, people that were participating quite a lot to the different virtual summer schools. So I think in total we were like close to 1,000 participants for all the sessions and so on, which was like great contributions. And for us, it was really cool to basically reach out to many of our users, many of our contributors, and that's great. And I see even in the list here some even contributors to the MISP project, so that's great. So what we would like to do for this session, and as I said, it's a bit particular, is to basically talk about all the different tools. We discover that many people know some of our tools, but not all the tools that we developed and maintain. And to be honest, even sometimes even myself, I forgot the tool that I'm maintaining. So I think it's cool to have today this kind of session, and even today you might see new tools that have not been still disclosed, and I think we will even start with that. So Sami did a very nice slide deck on all the different tools, and we will share with you a document which basically show, I would say, all the ecosystem of open source tool that we maintain at CIRCL, and how it could fit into a SOC, Security Operations Center or CSIRT ecosystem. So because we try to cover here the autonomy of those SOC with open source tooling, and I think it's key for this session. So that's really cool there. Thank you, and now we will pass different things. Oh yeah, so maybe something that is quite interesting. Maybe some you want to talk about it too, but
Yeah,
I can't.
definitely. So
Yes.
this is a bit of a, let's say, pride chart or pride graph, whatever you want to call it. But it's basically an aggregation of all the commits and releases that we have for most of our tool, because we also develop, it's rare, I agree, but we also develop some tools in private that we don't share publicly on GitHub. But I would say 80 or 90% of the code that we produce end up on GitHub. And you can have this kind of nice diagram. So you can see that a lot of releases over time, and it hasn't slowed down. You can even notice that during the pandemics, it hasn't slowed down at all. So that is for public code. And this one is a heavy but really interesting diagram if you take the time to check it out, because it has a lot of components, but it tries to create relationship between all the tools that you have based on topic. So if you want to do some detection, then you can have a look at the detection category. If you are there for the SOC part, then the SOC section might help you. If you want to see which tool we developed to help us carrying out trainings or doing exercises, this is the part where you will find the tool that we've developed for that, and so on and so forth. And with this relationship, you can see how this tool more or less integrates between them. We didn't create an arrow for all of them because otherwise it's going to be way too heavy for a chart, but it gives a good opportunity. So to continue on this topic of all the tools that we will present today, this is a 1 hour session. We have like 50 minutes remaining now. So the whole idea is to take some time to explain and to do a demo of the tool that we haven't talked about before. So for example, we'll talk about Rulezet, talk about MISP Fleet Commander, SkilAegis. These are tools that are not well known. So we just take more time for these, but all for the others like MISP, AIL framework, and so on, this is gonna be a rapid fire overview. Like we are just gonna explain what the tool is, what it tries to solve as a problem, and how you can use it. And that's it. So it's gonna be short. All right. And with that, I think it's a good time now to start the session, to bootstrap the session with Rulezet. And Theo today is here with us. And if he's ready, he can take over and share his screen if he has something to share, or just explain what he has been doing these past few months.
Okay, so hello everyone, I'm Theo and I am an internship student. And today I'm going to speak to you about Rulezet, my project. So I'm going to share my screen. Okay. All people see the screen? Yes? Okay. So Rulezet is a website platform designed to manage, analyze, and share cybersecurity detection rules. At the beginning of the project, I'm looking for many YARA rules. And in fact, I discovered that there are a lot of GitHub repertory with many rules. So this is a big problem to find only one rule who I was interested. So I decided to create this website to centralize all the rules and to facilitate access to people to manage the rule and make many things. So I'm going to present you the different features of this website. The first and the most simple is to create a rule on the website directly. So you can create with different elements. For example, I create a YARA rule, a very basic YARA rule. Okay. So when I create it, I can find it on the website, as you can see here. And this is that. Okay, so there are different parts. The first part is about information of the rule, like description, etc. So it is more simple to discover why the rule has been created. There are many sections. So if people created a rule and this rule is very bad, you can dislike or like or let a comment. Because we want to have only good rules to help community to have a better aspect. Okay. The second feature of the website is about GitHub project and rule. So as you can see, I have a GitHub with many YARA rules, etc. So if I take this URL, I can put it in, and Rulezet are able to parse and to recoup all the rules and create it directly in the website, as you can see. So there are 29 rules imported, and there are one failed to import. So why? Because in fact, when I try to recoup all the rules, I try to compile them and to parse them. If there are many problems, as you can see, Rulezet don't want to let people put this rule on this website. So for example, you see there were a mistake. So if I correct that, okay, I can fix it and okay, this is good. This is the first part. Okay, the second thing I want to show you is more about the ownership of the rule. So as you can see, when I created a rule, I have all the right on it. So I can edit it, I can delete it, I can make many things. So if a new people decided to create an account, for example, okay, hop, and he want to help the community to evolve the rule, he can make a pull request just here. So if you want, you can propose many, I don't know, many modification. I don't know, okay. And you can submit it, and the owner or the admin can accept or reject this change. So, 1 second. Up. Okay. So you can see the difference between the old and the new, and you can discuss with the new with the editor to say, okay, why do you want to change this part, etc. If this is a good change, he can accept or reject. Okay, very simple. The last thing I want to speak is about GitHub update, because if I work on my GitHub and make many change on my rule, there is no link between GitHub and the Rulezet session. So I created a script to update all my rule and see if there are a variation between the rule. So you can check now, or you can create an automatic rule update. So this is a good thing. So for example, if I check now there are no updates, but if there are an update, you can see the difference, accept or reject. Okay. The last thing is about the admin rights. So as I said at the beginning, the admin has all the rights. He can edit, make all he wants. And he has a new element. He can control all the user and see different things about it. So for example, I can take this user, okay, he created all this rule, he has no vote yet, he created Yara, Suricata, etc. And he can promote or they promote it, so it is a very efficient thing. And okay, I can speak just, if I have the time, about a request ownership. So for example, see if when people decided to import my rule of my GitHub, he became the owner. So I can't make edit. So I want to, oh no, this is my rule. So I can make a request for just this rule or all the rules from this source. So this is, for example, take it up. And the admin can accept or reject, okay, no, I don't want to, no, you are not the owner, no. Or he can select all the rule you want to, okay, you have just the right on free rule, as you can see. Okay. This is at this moment the main thing about Rulezet. But if you have any suggestion, I am glad to hear it. Okay.
Awesome. I just have one question. So right now I see it's running on your development laptop. Is it gonna be a service that's gonna be online at some point? Like
Yes.
some kind of platform that any users in the world can access and play with?
Yes, this is the ultimate goal. I think the next week we can make in production, I think. But yeah, in fact, the goal is to share all the rules for all people, and all people can go on the website and create a new rule or make a comment, etc. This is like GitHub, in fact. Very
Awesome. Okay, well, thank you very much. Next up, I propose that we give the floor to Andras if he's ready. And
sure.
Andras is going to present MISP and its ecosystem quite rapidly, I guess, because this has been already extensively covered this week and last week as well. And you're also going to present a new project, Draugnet, that was released this month, actually last month in June, and Cerebrate as well. That already has been a session. So Andras,
Yeah.
I will let you start.
Indeed, and I'll try to keep it as short as possible, especially for the things that we've already covered, indeed. So speaking of MISP, that was probably the largest amount of sessions that we've held, or the largest amount of sessions that touched on the tool in one way or another. It is basically an open source threat intelligence platform, along with a bunch of different tools to support you in your threat intel needs. So I highly recommend everyone that is interested in either threat intelligence or automating data flowing into your SOC, into your CERT, whatever you're part of, and automating your protective tools to check out both the tool itself as well as the sessions that we've given earlier this week. We try to cover the basics of creating data and using data from this. Cerebrate, on the other hand, is a tool that has a higher barrier of entry in terms that it assumes that you're using some tools already. It is a community management tool that sits on top of tools such as MISP, and it allows you to deal with the hurdles that come with managing a large community. So anything from contact information to meta information about your constituency, all the way to some automation of interconnecting the various members of the community and their tools with each other.
Another thing that might be interesting for you is if you want to manage a single sign-on system, Cerebrate helps you with a more security community-based focus on how to run such a community and enroll such a community. Now moving on just one tiny comment there. We also had a session on Cerebrate, so feel free to check that out if you're interested in the topic. Now, finally, what Simon mentioned, we a new tool that came out last month. It's called Draugnet. It is a lightweight application that allows CSIRTs, ISACs, and so on to run a platform that allows their constituency to report anything from incidents, vulnerabilities, or threat intelligence to the host organization running a Draugnet instance. The tool is split between an API and the UI. You don't have to run both. It's enough to run the API if you don't want to run the UI portion of that. But basically, it opens you up of allowing your users to, or your constituency to report stuff to you. It uses MISP as a backend, so anything that you basically share via Draugnet and lands currently as an event in the host organization's MISP instance, without the reporter needing to have access to MISP. So that means there is no prior negotiations needed, no prior enrollment. You can already start reporting. If you put a link to your Draugnet instance on your website, anyone that has access to the website, basically, which if you put it on the internet, is everyone can report things to you. They can choose to not stay anonymous, or they can choose to stay anonymous. That's up to the reporter. In either way, the only thing linking them to the data that they submit is a token that they receive, and that token can be used for further updates and collaboration. So once a reporter submits information, they can query Draugnet with the token they receive to see updates on their data and to communicate and interact with the community behind Draugnet, so the MISP community. Additionally, we have different ways of submitting information currently. So currently 3 ways are supported. You can just upload a MISP JSON if you're coming from a MISP background, or you can use the report templates to select a template that you want to use to populate the information. So you would use the MISP object definitions for that. So if you want to report, say, anything from malicious file and so on, you would just use the template that fits the description best. Other than that, you also have a free text import. That means that you can just drop whatever in clear text into a text field, and then MISP behind the scenes will try to make use of that information, extract as much as it can, and also capture the raw report that you've submitted for the MISP community behind it to interact with. In the future, we also want to extend this with additionally use case-based forms. So if you want to have the lowest barrier of entry, having a simple form to describe certain types of incidents would make life even easier for the users. The tokens that you receive can be shared with partners. So if you want to collaborate or do a joint reporting with someone else, you can share the token and you can use that to interact with partners. And besides that, last point to note is that the tokens are in no way interlinked with one another. So if you do multiple reports, then the host organization doesn't know that those things were reported from the same organization unless you choose to disclose it. They're only stored together in your own browser. So that's basically it.
And we have light and dark team.
Yes, very important.
Awesome. All right. Thank you very much, Andras. I guess it's a good time to continue on the MISP scope and MISP topic. And for that, we have Luciano that has 2 small projects to present. The first one being MISP Lite and the second one being MISP Guard. So if you are up, leave you the floor.
Can I take a share or it's too
Yeah,
inconvenient?
definitely. Please, go ahead.
Okay, yeah. I will be quick still.
Oh, we even have some slides. Great.
So the first project is MISP Guard. MISP Guard is a man-in-the-middle add-on that inspects the traffic between MISP instances. There's the link to the repository. And basically how it works is as a proxy intercepting the content or the HTTP request between your internal confidential, let's call it the MISP instance that you want to control what goes in and out. And it controls basically the requests that go via the MISP sync, via push or pull, and does content inspection and applies certain rules that are defined in a JSON configuration file, and then decides where to block or to let the request pass. It also logs everything. So it's based on man-in-the-middle proxy, which is an open source tool, and it's quite cool and very well documented and audited. And the setup is very straightforward. You have to clone the repo, install the pip or the Python requirements or packages, and then just run it as a proxy. Next, on your MISP instance, you have to point your MISP instance to use this as a proxy. So it will pass all the requests through this proxy. And then you have to define the config rules that you want, and which are compartment rules. For example, if you can define these different compartments and define which ones will be able to connect with which, talking about different MISP instances. And then taxonomy rules, such as blocking tags or required taxonomies. And then many other rules like blocking different distribution levels, sharing groups, attribute or object types. And also there's an option to set certain domains to be allowed, which can be useful when you are using MISP modules or something that requires to reach some external service. This is just a sample of how the logs look. On the top right, there's a snippet of the configuration indicating that TLP red tags should be blocked. So anything that tries to leave our MISP instance that contains a TLP red tag will be blocked. And then you can see the message in the logs saying that something was blocked. Okay, that's for MISP Guard, which recently had a pen test, and there were very minor security issues that were fixed, so it's safe to use. Then a slightly bigger and ongoing project is MISP Lite. MISP Lite is a lightweight threat intelligence platform. The idea is to simplify searching and correlating indicators, and the idea is it's optimized for performance and simplicity compared to a full MISP instance. So the backend is basically Python with a fast API, SQL Alchemy and Pydantic, Celery for background tasks, PostgreSQL for the main database, but we are also using OpenSearch for indexing all the events and IOCs to allow fast and more complex searches. And also RabbitMQ for a message broker. It's also used by Celery. And for object storage for attachments of IOCs, you can use a local file system or MinIO to have a S3 compatible alternative. The front end is built with Vue.js 3, Bootstrap 5, Pinia for state management of the front end. And for dashboards, we are just using OpenSearch dashboards with the information that was indexed from MISP. The focus is performance and simplicity, a modern tech stack. And the idea is also to have a fast, modular, and scalable design, and easy to develop also to extend, and for welcome open source developers. Fully compatible with MISP standards, so you can import and export and connect to existing MISP servers, the PHP MISP versions, let's say. And it integrates also with feeds, external APIs, webhooks, not there yet, but it will be eventually. And also having a modern UI responsive for mobile phones or different devices. And unlike MISP, focuses on very limited feature set, like indicators, events, correlations, tagging, sightings was introduced recently. But the idea is to keep it very lightweight in terms of features. Everything that gets ingested into MISP Lite gets indexed in an open search, so this allows to do loose-in queries, and it's quite powerful. And well, there's many other things, but some are under development still. This is just a sample, a bit of a mockup also of how you see an event in MISP, some charts and objects and attributes very similar to what MISP shows. And this is the search of indicators that you can use loose-in queries. It's super fast. I tried with many IOCs, and since it doesn't have an ACL, so all the data that it's there, it's available to all the users of the platform, unlike MISP that computes which user and which organization is allowed to see what. Currently, the only distinction is if you can read data or also modify it in MISP Lite. Maybe some more things will be introduced, but the idea is to not have a complex ACL like MISP does. Also, you can search events with loose-in queries that directly connects to the OpenSearch backend. It also computes correlations. It has some more advanced or more, I don't know, different ways of correlating, unlike MISP, thanks to OpenSearch allowing some specific operators between strings and to search fast indicators that are similar to each other but not exact. Then using this data that is ingested into OpenSearch, we can do any dashboard we want with OpenSearch dashboards. Here is a sample using some GeoIP and some charts based on the types of attributes and timestamps for activity. The roadmap is that it's still on development and towards an alpha version that will be released, I swear, before end of this year. The idea is to have something production ready and useful. And so far it's more of a development project, but I welcome people to try it and give me feedback and open issues or do feature requests. That's it. Thank you.
Thank you. I love the backlog category in the roadmap.
Yeah.
All right. Next up, we have SkilAegis and misflip Commander. And this one, this time I'm the presenter. All right. Taking this back, taking this back. All right, so this is SkilAegis. SkilAegis is It's a tool that you can install locally. And the whole idea, it's a platform that allows you to design exercise and scenario, and also to execute them and see their execution in real time. So that's the whole project. And this whole project, SkilAegis, is split into two applications, the live dashboard and the editor. So let's first have a look at the live dashboard. And this is what you would have during an active session. So this is actually at the end of one of our training. This training was a training on the workflows. And you can see that we had many participants during this training. A lot of them didn't even try to do the exercise, but still some of them managed to get, let's say, to do a bit more than half of the exercises. So you could see the tasks that were asked, column-based, and for each row you have the participant, and you can see which exercise they managed to complete. So this dashboard updates in real time. We can even see that there was a bit of activity on the application because we have some kind of heat map or punch card under each users. If I hide the active user, we see that right now we don't have any active users, but hiding it allows us to also see another part of the application called the live log that shows you in real time all the things that users are doing. So we could see that during the session, at least for the recording this morning, I tried to access with the admin account these pages, and 10 minutes ago, I edited an event. You can see I did a GET request on that event. So initially, the goal was to help us deliver and carrying out MISP trainings, but turns out that it worked better than expected. So we broadened the scope, and right now it's a tool that can be used to create scenario and exercises for basically any tools. To expand a bit more on that, I will go on the next application, which is the editor. Just to show you how you can create and design your scenarios. So right now, this is the list of scenarios that I have enabled on my instance. We can select this one, which is the one that was used to during the last session. And on this interface, you can customize well, some basic meta information related to that exercise, the level, the difficulty level, the name, and so on. And on the next page, if you choose to design the scenario, this is where you will be able to design every injects. So by injects, it is actually this task or exercise, as you can call them. So for example, the first inject was to ask for the user to enable something in the application. And we can see that with a bit of configuration and a bit of GQ magic, you can create validators for that exercise. So basically, what's happening in there? We have a periodic frequency. Every 10 seconds, this evaluation is being run. So we are doing a GET request on that endpoint. And then this is the evaluation that is done through GQ. It sounds very complex and obscure, but if you are a GQ master, you understand what this is going to do. And this is SkilAegis specific for the validation. But now we understand that it is not convenient at all to actually use this. And so we have, it's not released yet, but it's going to be, I would say, after this summer, a mechanism to actually write the evaluation in Python. So you would be given the execution context of the query or of whatever is happening. And you will be able to simply write some Python code that will evaluate if the exercise is complete or not. Target tool, you can see first, it was mainly focused on MISP. Suricata, it's a bit of a blend between MISP and Suricata. So what this one does is basically spin up a Suricata sandbox, takes indicators that have been encoded in MISP, feed them to Suricata's rules, and we have some predefined pickups that we run against this sandbox. And if Suricata blocks the malicious connections or malicious payloads that it sees, then it validates some exercise or not. And the webhook one is basically just a generic placeholder. So if you want to integrate a custom tool, you would just use webhook, define the endpoint that your custom tool need to hit on SkilAegis to trigger a validation. And then by just writing some Python code, you can do the validation and give point to the user. So that's basically it for SkilAegis. So the main takeaway is it was initially designed to run MISP exercises, but nowadays you can run basically any exercises for any tools. Next one, to continue on the topic of MISP, you might have realized that MISP is a big thing at CIRCL. This tool is MISP Fleet Commander. And if you were attending the session last week of Andras, the one that talked about Cerebrate, it was mentioned briefly that this tool exists, but now I have the opportunity to actually give a quick overview of it. So MISP Fleet Commander is a tool that allows you to manage a fleet of MISP servers. So we at CIRCL, we have, I don't know, more than 20 servers running. Everything is in the monitoring. This is great. But sometimes if we want to do batch action of them, for example, check if a user exists on all instances, or simply check if data exists on each instances, change the settings on every instances. These things can be quite complicated or consuming to do by hand. If it's something quick and easy, you just do it using the UI. If it requires scripting, well, you have to write a script. But this tool tries to help you with that. So this is the landing page. Basically, it shows the active plugin. This tool has been designed with a plugin mindset, so we can have plugin to perform action on MISP instances, or to also extract information, to get information and display it nicely in the user interface. Let's have a look at our first fleet called training instances. We can see that we have 6 servers. We can see their status. We can see that it was last refreshed 3 minutes ago. That's because we have enabled the fleet watcher running. So it's kind of Orbit system that you configure the frequency at which it should refresh the instances, so that whenever you arrive on this page, you see a live, almost live state of your instances. And we can see that we have a lot of connection between them, and they're all green, meaning that all the connections are working correctly. If we go on one of these instances, we can explore them. We can see basically the same information that we had on the index, but also with more information. So if we would have any user registration, we would be able to see them here and quickly process them. We also have access to the remote administration panel that allows us to see the users, to take action of them. So for example, to generate a node key, change the password, disable it, so on and so forth. To change the setting of your MISP server, and extremely useful to execute a REST, an API call on your on the server. So if you would just want to get the version, you can simply put the URL, post the method, put the body, and then you can execute it. And one other feature that is very useful is the plugin one, which allows you to write really simple Python scripts that you can plug into this application that allows you to do some quick and easy tasks. For example, if you want to query if an organization exists on this instance, well, this is what this plugin does. You can see that it exists. If you want to enable all taxonomies or some taxonomies on a server, you go on this toggle taxonomy, you select the taxonomy you want to enable, and then you click on submit, and these taxonomies are going to be enabled on this instance. So you can do it on one server, but obviously you can do it on your whole fleet. That would be a bit pointless if you couldn't. So for this time, you select the fleet that you want to apply, and then you have access to the same set of plugins, and you can do the exact same thing that we did before. it was get version. And this one was not phone. Maybe I did a typo. It's organization, it's not a REST call, sorry. But at least you see that it's working as expected. All right, last interface that I want to show you is the strategic view. This one shows you how all your servers are interconnected between each other. So for those who are curious about the setup of the training instances that we have, you can see that we have the training main, which acts as a hub that has 4 instances connected to it. And we have 2 other instances that have an additional hop. So you can obviously see all of them. And we even see that MISP1, so training 1, is not connected. Well, it's not detected as being part of this fleet. If we go back to our main one, we can see that it's not in the list. So let's see how we can add it. Well, the easy way or cumbersome way is to write everything down, give it a name, give the authorization key, give the URL, save it, and that would work. If you have many to enroll at once, you can provide a CSV data. So you provide it there, you select the server that you want to save, and you save them. But you also have developed a user-friendly way to do it, is to use our browser plugin. So if we go on training onemainCommunity.org, you can see that we had a pop-up that says that this instance is unknown to our MISP Fleet manager. So if you click on this browser plugin, it automatically detects some information. We can give it a better name, for example, training 1. We can give it a description, and then we select the fleet in which we want to enroll this server. We hit enroll server. It was a success. And now if we go back to our fleet commander, we reload, and now we can see that it has been successfully added. I could even ask for a full refresh right now instead of waiting the 10 minutes. And after a while, we are going to have everything green. All right. And that's it for a quick introduction of how you could use SkilAegis and MISP Fleet Commander. All right. Next up, we have what? I think it's Alex's turn.
Yeah, so
Alex,
I think
what do you want to
will be
start with?
Hashlookup maybe.
Hashlookup.
So it will be kind of lightning talks, and so I share again in the chat the list of tooling that we have, and obviously in the last 10 minutes remaining, it will be tough to basically pass through all the different projects, but we wanted to highlight some of them that we were not at least presenting during the virtual summer school. One of the projects was Hashlookup. So it's a project that we did because we found a lot of issue with NSRL, which is a national database for hashing, I would say, whitelisted files, so files that are actually seen on operating system and so on, which is a nice way for forensic investigator to find if those files are malicious or legitimate. So we extended that, and we basically import a lot of data from different sources, including operating system, Linux distributions, CDN files, and many other files, and we make accessible through an API the lookup. So we have an API where we can do the lookup. We even generate Bloom filter, so that means instead of doing lookup, you can even load the Bloom filter and run it as a digital forensic tool to find out if the different files are known and so on. So the Hashlookup project is, I think nowadays quite old. I mean, 4 or 5 years that we started this project, but we do regular updates. The API is containing billions of files. We use it internally for all digital forensic aspect, and we implemented additional software for Hashlookup. So there are, for example, Bloom filters libraries. You have tooling for digital forensic and so on. So in the tool, we are actually it's quite versatile. What we are interested to is to get new sources. So if at some point in time you see an additional sources that is missing in the legitimate files and so on, you can. So if you're interested by the project, it's hashlookup.io, and we have an API that is publicly accessible that you can use. So if you have a hash of a files and you want to know if this hash is actually seen in already operating system and so on. You can do a quick lookup, and that's basically it. So it's efficient, and it's really a handy tool for digital forensic. And as usual, again, everything is open source, backend wise, and so on, and we have a public services for it. Then maybe another project that we introduced during the virtual summer school is Ale, but the project is quite big, so it's a project to basically analyze unstructured data, things like social networks, Tor, web services, and so on. The project is now quite extensive, and I think pretty stable. It's really one of those companion with MISP that you will use on a day-to-day basis to do proactive search on social networks, infrastructures, and so on. There's a very strong correlation engine. Luciano presented, for example, in MISP correlations. In MISP, we have correlation. In L, we have really strong correlation there. We are strong believer that correlation is important to find out similar content, things that might be of interest of threat actors' activities, and so on. So everything is accessible and so on. So we do usually one release per every 2 months. There's even a specific data lake accessible for law enforcement agencies. So if you are one of those law enforcement agencies, you can even request to get access to those ones. So it's a pretty nice systems. So next, maybe Typosquatters. It's another project that we are running. So it started from the fact that there are some libraries for finding Typosquatted domains, but we could not find a library with all the different algorithms. So if you go on the GitHub page there that Sami is actually showing, at the end of this page, you'll see a complete tables of the comparisons of the different libraries. So this is a re-implementation of the different algorithm. So we try to be exhaustive on that one because it's a nice way for those finding of those Typosquatted domains. And in addition to that, we run an online services. So if you want to try automatically Typosquatted domains, so for example, you can try paypal.com or whatever domains. Sami try CIRCL, I tell you. What he will do is basically the library is called behind the scene, and he will try to check all variants. You see that he selected some algorithm there, and automatically will try to see all the variants. So what is actually the use of that is to proactively search for domain that might be typosquatted by threat actors, for phishing, spear phishing, and so on. The nice thing with the system is you have an API for it, and it's generating, again, MISP event. So that means you can ingest into your pipelines and so on. And if you, for example, use workflow in MISP, you can even like trigger a webhook because a specific domain is matching what you are looking for. So it's really a tool that is like a companion when you need to find out if a domain or for your organization and so on might be typosquatted and so on, or even to trace back if your marketing department is registering a bit too much domain. So we have other tools that I will not go too much into details, but for example, this you wanted to talk about which one? We have like 5 minutes left, so we try. So under FlowIntel, we have plenty of tools, and I think this one we'll have a video recorded on that one too soon because we will redo it soon. So it's a case management tool. I think this one is a new companion to all suite of tools at CIRCL, and I think this one is kind of critical. If you look at Ale, we have investigations. If you look at MISP, you basically have events and so on, collections, but you don't actually have case management. This tool is actually filling that gap and providing a way to have case management between the different tools that we have, Ale, MISP, and other tools. And for example, Rafael is currently implementing in Lookiloo an extension for FlowIntel. So FlowIntel is really a case management tool. You can create your case. The tool is quite extensive, and you can, for example, create template of case. So for example, if you do regularly the same things You can have notification for calendar. There's an integration with the MISP modules. So you basically benefit from all the different services that we have in FlowIntel to benefit from the different tooling. For example, for extraction of disk and so on, if you do forensic, it's a very nice tool for doing case management because you basically have timelines and so on. You can even push back the data from MISP. You can get back the data from MISP. So you have to see it as a complete thread hunting tools and case management tool. It's open source, actively developed, and we have plenty of new use cases that will come in the next months around FlowIntel. So if you need a case management tool, FlowIntel might be one of those tools for you. And I think Sami is like to play with me, so he will select the next random project too.
Exactly. And I propose this one.
Yes, okay. This one is an interesting one because it's actually accessing one of our ALE instances. So as you know, ALE is basically analyzing unstructured content, especially content from Tor. The problem that we have with Tor is a lot of content that are basically unwanted. So you have violent content, you have child abuse material there and so on. So you really have things that you don't want to look. But sometimes you have an onion address and you want to know if these onion addresses are actually malicious or not. So we expose one of our dataset to do lookup. So if you enter Tor onion addresses, it will give you the titles, the tags, and the classification. So it's a very nice tool to basically having a safe way of avoiding risky browsing of onions and so on. You can actually there. The nice thing with that, you have an API too. So you have a web interface, but you have an open API. You see that Sami is showing that none address, I don't know what is this one, but with plenty of title. We have a temporal information, first seen, last seen. It's an easy way. If I remember correctly, there is even a MISP module for lookup onions against onion lookups, and you can even integrate into MISP workflow, for example. So this one is the open API that you can use and enter your onion addresses, do a lookup, get the data back. So it's a nice way without burning your eyes on potentially malicious or unwanted content on Tor. Nice selection, Sami. So we still have like 2 minutes. So last but not least, you want to cherry pick one?
Okay.
Challenge. Kunai, okay. Not the smallest project. So we had
I know.
during the virtual summer school, we have a very good introduction. The video is online. So you have Kunai, you have to see it as a NDR, endpoint protection device, but more like really a threat hunting capabilities on Linux, which was really missing, and you can really dig into kernel activities and so on. We have even a sandbox that is online and accessible. It's in the link of the different tooling that we have, and you can even upload malicious binary or suspicious binaries and see what Kunai can see. It's at kernel level, it's using a BPF, so it's pretty standard, and you can actually use it for doing threat hunting on Linux.
I knew that you would be able to summarize it in 1 minute.
Yeah, and we have a question on the chat from Seamus Trudy about templating and doc update plan for FlowIntel. Yes, indeed. So we have templates, and that's funny that you talk about it because 3 days ago we had a discussion about updating the documentation for the templating and especially to provide default templates. So right now, quick example what Seamus is talking about, it's very interesting. So in FlowIntel, you can create case. So for example, I have an incident with Sami. Sami give me some evidences. He asked me to do some activities and so on, but I don't want to basically always repeat the same stuff, and I want to basically have that in a template. And so from FlowIntel, you can generate a template, and that template can be re-injected, and you can know all the steps. So if you have like, Sami describe me all the steps I need to do in forensic, he will give me all the details and so on. And that's what we want to do in FlowIntel. There will be a repository with default templates for documentation there. So indeed, right now, FlowIntel is pretty new, so documentation is not completely complete, but indeed, we plan to add it. If you have any other questions, you still have like for 5 minutes before that we close the sessions. Is there any questions?
Yeah. Anyway, I think it was really packed session. So we skimmed through a lot of projects, and what's worse is that we didn't cover all of them. Yeah,
True.
we have tons of stuff. So once again, you can find the document that I paste the link in the chat. That is a good reference point to all our project and sub-project, part of our ecosystem. And with that, we stop the recording. So thank you everyone for joining this this session. I hope it was useful for you, and see you next time.
Thank you very much.